The middle class all over the country is very unhappy that they are paying the majority of taxes. They're not getting any tax reduction. Inflation has been high, cost has been high, student fees has gone up, living cost has gone up, quality of life in our cities remain poor because of traffic, even though things have improved. And they need to see reduction in the taxes. And income tax collections are going up at 22%. They need to see reduction, not the silly thing that was done in the last two budgets of having 5 slabs, 7 slabs and giving breaks for housing. I appeal to the Prime Minister directly to him. He's the one who gave the vision for Digital India. He's the one who spoke to startups. Because, we have tried so many times with the Finance Minister, they treat you like they listen to you, laugh at you. I don't think in the Finance Ministry there's political will to change. The Prime Minister should set in. I hope he's listening to us. And he must protect our young people, give them hope. You see, many of them are relocating. I'm appealing to the Prime Minister like he intervened to reduce corporate tax to 25% about 3-4 years back, and look at the benefit. Today, debt has been paid back, money is being created, investment is happening. What the Prime Minister proposes, the Finance Ministry takes away. Look at the angel tax. There's harassment. Yeah. There is threat against young people. There is corruption in that angel tax. We've been talking to them to change it. I've met the Finance Ministry many times in official. They laugh at my face. I went to the
and why is that? Why is that? Why is that?
Because you see, there is no political oversight. See, we are a representative democracy. We have met the Finance Minister many times and told that she listens to us but doesn't do anything. Last 10 years, income tax people have got more powers, draconian powers than the previous 10 years. I remember when the previous Finance Minister, Chidambaram, was there, he stopped all of them getting more powers. He used to read everything. I don't know whether currently this is being done. We have to stop tax terrorism. Tax terrorism is a big threat to India. That's the biggest challenge. The tax authorities go amok. I remember in March, 2 or 3 founders of startups called me and said they got calls from people to say, we're going to add back your, the capital that you raised for angel tax, and I'm going to add so much, give me some money. I want to put it on record. Right. So they're being misused by people seeking. And then we got the ED, CBI going after people and not completing the work.
In just a week's time, Modi 3.0's maiden and Nirmala Sitharaman's 7th straight budget as the Finance Minister will be presented. In anticipation of a strong enabling budget for the industry, bulls in the stock market are pushing the Nifty 50 and Sensex to new highs rather frequently. But there is distress on the jobs front. The number of rich surrendering their Indian passports is likely to end at a figure higher than last year. Middle class wants a break. So the Finance Minister's job is cut out. In the run-up to the budget on Mint, we have planned a series of interviews, stories, and panel discussions to ensure your voice reaches the government, culminating into analysis of the budget on the budget day. Today, to talk about the budget, we have with us a man who doesn't need an introduction, Padma Awardee Mohandas Pai. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Pai.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So quickly, we'll get into specifics a little later, but just give our viewers an overall picture of what kind of a budget do you think this is going to be, keeping the political compulsions and the last 10 budgets presented by the Modi government in mind. Do you think this will be a mazboot budget, or considering BJP now has to worry about allies like TDP and JDU, a majboor budget?
I think it will be a majboot budget for a simple reason. We have done very well in the last 10 years. GDP has gone up from 2 trillion to 3.6 trillion, 113 lakh crores to 296 lakh crores. That is fantastic. Per capita income today is 2 lakh crores. And Prime Minister Modi has said very clearly that the next 5 years are going to be much, much better than the last 10 years. The last 10 years were a trailer. So I think this budget, he has to set the tone for the next 5 years. To set the tone, we have to see what are the big challenges about India. The big challenges are, one, we need to increase the purchasing power at the bottom 50% of our population. The bottom 50% is dependent on agriculture. They get only 73,000 rupees as part of the GVA per head, whereas industry is maybe close to 2 lakhs and services 3,60,000. The trickle-down impact is not working so much because people who depend on industry and services for the livelihood are seeing much bigger increases in their income. So we have to have a direct impact on them. Second, we have to create a huge amount of jobs. We are creating a huge amount of jobs, but 80% of jobs pay less than 20,000 rupees, and that is a problem. And there's accumulated stock of people in North India who don't have good jobs, because there are good jobs in South India, not in the North. And these jobs have to be done in North India across the areas where there is surplus labor. I think that's the second issue. The third issue which has to be done is that we have to make sure that we placate the middle class. The middle class all over the country is very unhappy that they are paying the majority of taxes. They're not getting any tax reduction. Inflation has been high, cost has been high, student fees has gone up, living cost has gone up, quality of life in our cities remain poor because of traffic, even though things have improved. And they need to see reduction in the taxes. And income tax collections are going up at 20-22%. They need to see reduction, not the silly thing that has done in the last two budget of having 5 slabs, 7 slabs, and giving breaks for housing. For example, only 1 crore people have housing loans, out of maybe 6 to 7 crore people who have salary income, including pensioners. That is the next thing. Fourth is we have to improve infrastructure so that, next 5 years to invest more than we did in the last 10 years. That's important because that is going to improve productivity and create the kind of jobs that you want. And then, like you said, we have to stop tax terrorism. Tax terrorism is a big threat to India. That's the biggest challenge. The tax authorities go amok. I remember in March, 2 or 3 founders of startups called me and said they got calls from people to say, we're going to add back your, the capital that you raised for angel tax, and I'm going to add so much, give me some money. I want to put it on record.
Right.
They're being misused by people for seeking. And then we got the ED, CBI going after people and not completing the work. I mean, it is good to have ED, CBI and other regulators a free rein and no political interference, but you must tell them to file a charge sheet in 2 or 3 years and complete the case in 4 years. There must be justice. You cannot keep people hanging for investigation. In the last 10 years, I think about 50,000 HNIs have gone away from India. India is one of the countries, the highest amount of HNIs, about 2.5 lakh, 3 lakh crore of income has gone away. So we must tone them down, make them accountable. Tell them you've got 6 months to investigate, file a charge sheet, finish the cases, and stop high-pitched demands, complete total amount of arrears. I think these are the 5 big objectives. And for that purpose, this is what my suggestion is. One, we must have a DBT program for 10 crore women who get subsidized gas under the PM scheme to give them 2,000 rupees a month for 12 months, starting possibly from September. And there is money for that, and I'll explain that, because that will be a direct injection of money at the bottom of the pyramid. And these are women who will take care of the families. There is a DBT program already, easy to do. There'll be no loss of money or misapplication of money. That will take care of the bottom of the pyramid. Now comes the important question, where is the money? I think it's important to say the money. Please remember, RBI gave a dividend of 2
Mr.
lakh.
Pai, before we start talking about where's the money, let's do one thing. Let's try and break up all of the multiple threads that you've opened. You have literally opened the Pandora's box. So let's try and sort of, go after one issue after another and take it in that order. So first of all, let's talk about middle class. You've been, like I said earlier, you've been rather vociferously articulating the tax burden on the middle class. You think the government is going to listen this time because these demands are not new. They are made every time there is a budget which is to be presented. So what do you think the government's going to do this time?
Well, the government better listen. You see, the middle class has been unhappy in the last election. The percentage of voting has come down. Yes, the middle class has supported Prime Minister Modi and NDA, but they're very angry and upset. You can see them all over. Talk to any middle class person. They're all angry and upset. Their patience has come to an end. And you must give them relief. You made them pay through their nose all these 10 years. And they've honestly paid. And today, remember, every single penny is coming in the tax net with 26A, right, in the form, which is good because you can't evade taxes. But individual tax collection is going up by 20% a year. And I think that's very good. So you must give them some relief because they have suffered with high inflation in the last many years, with high school fees, because the school fees and the rental is not captured in the inflation for the middle class. You look at the housing that has gone up, right? Interest for EMI has gone up. So I think there is enough money. See, today there is enough money to give release for everybody.
So what kind of reliefs, what kind of reforms, what kind of changes, what kind of steps on this front would you like the government to take?
Well, let me say for the middle class, they must, like they say, revamp the tax slab and give an option. You go with the old tax slab with many breaks, or you go in the new tax slab. If you go to the new tax slab, like I suggested, the loss of revenue may be 50-60,000 crores. And today, income tax collection could go up by 1 lakh crore. They budgeted for 11%. It could go to 15-16%. There's enough money on the table because today, when you cut the tax slab and give them a simple tax slab, you normally have an increase from the unincorporated corporations and proprietorships who declare income. I remember when I was doing my CA many times, my senior used to tell me, people used to come to the office and say, ये बार मुझे 50,000 tax देना है, कितना income दिखाना है. So a large number of local businessmen always talk like that. They'll get more money in the books. Like a former revenue secretary said, when the tax rate came to 25%, पहले तो ₹1 दिया तो ₹2 खाते में आता था. अभी ₹1 दिया तो ₹3 आता है because 25. And that has improved tax compliance. There must be a break. That is it. Now let me explain about money. I think it's important because it's not pie in the sky. RBI dividend 2,11,000 crores. Budgeted 85,000 crores, 1,30,000 crore more is coming, is non-debt. And this year to 24-25, there's a possibility RBI will do it because they're putting the money into deposits with the Federal Reserve and bond. Last year, they got 4.2% yield. This year too, they may get about 4.2, 4.5. There'll be enough money. So this year too, there's enough. This year there's money. Next year too, there's enough money. There's 1,30,000 crores more. And then the tax collection may go up by another 1 lakh crore compared to the budget because last year about 27,000 crore more was collected, more than revised estimate. And this year it is 11% growth, and we can easily take a 12% growth because that will be the nominal growth rate this year. And that's about 2,30,000 crores. About 40-50,000 crores will come more by, let us say, dividends from the public sector enterprises. Last year, I think the dividends something like 90,000 crores. So we're going to have 3 lakh crores, out of which 50,000 crores will possibly go to the states because 50% of the tax collection, 42% goes to the state. So there's 2 lakh to 50,000 crores, 1,40,000 crores possibly for the DBT, 50,000 crores for the middle class, and the balance money can be spent on infrastructure or anything else. So I think there's enough money because remember, if you don't do it now, the impact will be not felt over the next 5 years. The first year is very important. Don't bring down the fiscal deficit. It's 5.1, only 5. Don't bring it down more like some people say. Keep it as it is. Don't borrow more money, but spend the money where it has the largest impact, increasing purchasing power. The benefit of this will be seen next year and the year after that. And if you do a large-scale DBT, you solve the biggest challenge for India, lack of purchasing power at the bottom of the pyramid. Second biggest challenge is the middle class angst and anger at being left out of the gravy train.
And add to that the problem of job creation, because as per a Citigroup report, India needs to create 12 million jobs per year to absorb the new entrants for the next 1 decade straight. Or else the demographic dividend that we keep talking about will end up becoming a liability.
Look, I
think a lot more investment needs to go into creation of jobs.
No, look, Citibank report, I don't agree with the numbers because if you look at the EPFO, 1.6 crore new people are joining. 55% are below the age of 25. I think Citibank should do a better job than doing the shoddy report because they did the report based on CMIE. CMIE survey is not the report. You got a database for 75 months, month from EPFO. So they're a job. The key is the jobs pay less than 20,000. We need them to increase to at least 35, 40,000. You need better quality jobs. That is the problem today. And you need jobs in North India. South India has got enough jobs. North India, you need jobs because many people are coming off the land in North India. More women are getting educated. More women are going to college and they don't have enough good jobs because the per capita income in UP is 1 lakh. Bihar is 65,000. There are 33 crore people. Karnataka this year per capita income is 4,25,000. Tamil Nadu is close to 4 lakh. Telangana is 4,20,000. The whole of the south per capita income is about 3.6 lakhs. And if you remove the national average, remove UP and Bihar from the national average, the per capita income for the rest of the country will shoot up. So the problem is in the north. And that is where you must have a focus for the special employment zone that I spoke about and give incentives for job creation in that place.
Right. But at the same time, I mean, there is an SBI report. If you talk about job creation in the country, in the last 10 years, 12.5 crore jobs have been added. If you take that number on face value, without slicing and dicing, in the sense that a substantial number of those has been created in the agriculture sector. What kind of measures do you expect the government to take to be able to continue at this rate? Because this is definitely what is required.
See, agriculture cannot support 45, 46% of our people. It's been coming down for the last 15 years. 15 years back, it was 61%. It's come down. But in the last 5 years, it has went up from 44 to 46, come down to 45% as per PLFS. All right. So we have to shift them to industry and services. And how do you shift them? agriculture is concentrated in certain areas in the country. You don't have agriculture in Bangalore or Bombay or Delhi, right? So in those areas, we must promote labor-intensive industries. Bangalore has got 5 lakh people in the garment industry. You don't get people. Why can't the garment industry be promoted with proper infrastructure in the north of Karnataka, where there's a lot of surplus labor? So we need to incentivize job creation through special employment zone in the 300 poorest districts, out of which 70-80% will be in the north of the country, and people are available there. We have good roads, good infrastructure, power is available. Infrastructure is not a problem. Logistics is not a problem. The problem is, how do you get them there? Give them grants for training, 2,000 rupees a month for 24 months. Pay the employer's share of that and call them and ask them to improve. There's a list of labor-intensive industries. If you look at China's export, 60-70% comes from labor-intensive industries. We have not promoted that. We incentivize capital in this country. If you put up a 1 lakh crore refinery, you get a subsidy of 50-60,000 crores. You put up a 10,000 crore garment factory, getting 2 lakh jobs. You hardly get anything. You get harassment from the labor inspector. We must change it. We must incentivize job creation. Yes, capital incentives are there, but job creation is more important.
Yeah, and that's reflected in the numbers. In fact, China has just beat US to become the largest trade partner with India. And the trade is largely one-sided. We are importing a whole lot more than we're exporting to China.
Yes, and now labor is cheaper in India than China. Labor is cheaper. China is subsidizing. See, in China, wages have gone up 4x in 10 years. And the total number of people in China is coming down. Last year, China's population declined in absolute numbers by 2 million. China is facing a massive problem of aging. So they are getting away from labor-intensive industries. And we must export. We must get industry to export and to grow faster than the consumption in the country. Our industry should look at the global market like the IT industry. IT services are, exports are $210 billion. $210 billion. $140 billion of money comes into the country. If that money was not there, we'll be before the IMF asking for money, right? So we did that because we tackled the global market. Our industry should tackle the global market. We, manufacture 4 million cars. Why can't we manufacture 10 million cars by 2030 and export 3 to 4 million cars? We manufacture 100. Why can't we? So we must talk to them, incentivize them, and to do it. And now with China's cost going up, we have a real opportunity. See, we have built scale. We are, very good in the small car. We must remove the surcharge on the larger cars, so expansion of market can go up, and that will reduce the cost. So we must look at each industry to see how we can make them export oriented by removing the barriers for them and increasing the competition. And today, electronics, because the PLI scheme is doing very well. Very soon, we'll have electronic exports in 3 or 4 years of $100 billion, value addition of $30-40 billion. The PLI scheme is very successful, despite malcontents by Raghuram Rajan making noise about it without getting into data. So this is very successful. Those are very good scheme. Incentivize job creation. There's enough money in the budget. There's no short of the money because the RBI dividend and the growth in the economy. So we are in a very good situation. Our banks are very clean. Banks are doing exceptionally well. This year SBI profit could be 75-80,000 crores. Last year the banks had net income of 3,25,000 odd crores. This year it will be 4 lakh crores. They got enough capital. So everything is going well in this country. So we have to have a budget which boosts growth, and that should carry us for the next 5 years. Take very bold steps, and the bold steps have to be more capex, more jobs, incentivize jobs, do a DBT, take care of the problem at the bottom of the pyramid, help the middle class and make them happy. Because the middle class, I'm telling you, is very, very angry. And the next 5-year election, they're not going to be loyal. If you continue to treat them like this, they're not going to be loyal, because the pain of living is very high. Look at the pain of living in Delhi, pain of living in Calcutta, in Bombay, in Bangalore, because, we are not spending enough on cities, right? And the state governments, giving away all these goodies. We need to incentive, we need to make sure that, we give them something to make them happy and make them, come up. And interest rates have gone up, EMI has gone up, right? And another thing I want to say, look at the MPI. Today, 42% of CPI is food. In food, much of it is vegetables. Do you think interest rates impact the supply of potatoes, and onions? I mean, our RBI should look at it to see they raise the interest rate. Core inflation is 3%. vegetable prices go up. Do you think raising interest rates impact vegetable prices? Is ridiculous, right? Because they're looking at CPI weights based on 21, 22. That's 11 years.
Yeah.
That time per capita income was 73,000 rupees. Today is 2 lakh rupees per head. The food composition has changed. Our data is old, and we got this wise man sitting down every 2 months and raising interest rates, saying CPI has gone up by 50 basis points because vegetable price went up. High interest is going to impact vegetable prices. We need some reality in the country.
Right. All right. And one particular industry that I really want to talk to you about is, of course, because as the former director of human resource at Infosys, if there's one man who knows about the IT industry, it's you. And IT industry, of course, is one of the biggest employers for the youth in the country, right? So what do you see happening in the IT sector?
Well, I think, the last year was not a good year for IT because spending didn't come up. The interest rates went up in the US, and that's the main reason. There were talks of recession, and Europe is not doing well. And then AI came. AI has been largely talked. Not much of spending has happened on AI by the corporations. So, and the year before that, we hired 550,000 people. If you look at one large IT company, 2 years back, the TCS hired 1 lakh people. Before that, 45,000, and before that, 30,000. And after 1 lakh, they spent about 30,000 people. Now they're hiring again. Same thing for Infosys, right? 1 year bulge. The 1 year bulge is enough for 2 years, but business did not grow. So I would think that hiring will pick up again in the second half of this year. So I think between all the IT service companies, they'll hire about maybe 350, 400,000 people because the GCCs are hiring, right? Today, the IT industry has about 5.6 million people. The local industry has about 1.4 million. We have 7 million people in IT, including the export sector and startups. And the US has 10 million. In the next 3 to 4 years, will be more than the US. Bangalore has 2.3 million, 23 lakhs. The highest number of IT people working in the world in any city is Bangalore. So there's been a pause, but I think it'll catch up. People are talking about AI. AI will improve productivity, but create more jobs. Because when AI comes, productivity is going to go up, projects will get completed earlier, costs will come down, and people will use the cost to reinvest back into technology in the US and other places. Now, if you want to start an AI project, where will you start? We'll start with the offshore vendors first, because you don't want to take the risk on your main business. You'll do projects, you'll understand them, use them. So I think there's going to be growth coming back in the second half of the year, and that will be good, and hiring will start. But I would urge all young people, please specialize. Don't think that you can go to an engineering college, walls to get some marks and expect to get a job. You must train yourself. You must skill yourself. You must learn more. You must be specialist. Many of them should go for their master's degree, because the BTech is like class 10 now, right? Everybody is a BTech. We got too many people. So I think they must do master, and they must get into train themselves to do better. The chip industry is booming. Today, Bangalore has got 300,000 people in the chip design, chip testing, and embedded software people. And there's a global boom, shortage of people. So I think things will come back in the second half of this year. Last 12 months, 15 months have not been good. So I see great growth, and IT companies will do well. They will do well because they are the biggest force multiplier for both the innovators who create technology and the users of the technology globally. Without these IT service companies, enterprises cannot use technology because they don't have enough people or the talent or the capability.
That's great to hear. And one last thing before I let you go is to talk to you about angel tax. I mean, you were talking about startups, suffering as a consequence of, certain policies. So what are your expectations from the budget on that front?
Look, Prime Minister Modi in 2015 on the Independence Day says, Startup India, Stand Up India, Digital India. That is fantastic. So the first time there's focus on young people. But what the Prime Minister proposes, the Finance Ministry takes away. Look at the angel tax. There's harassment. There is threat against young people. There is corruption in that angel tax. We've been talking to them to change it. I've met the Finance Ministry many times in official. They laugh at my face. I went through the
and why is that? Why is that?
Because you see, there is no political oversight. See, we are a representative democracy. We have met the Finance Minister many times and told that she listens to us but doesn't do anything. If the bureaucrats do that, see what happens, I'll tell you. The income tax officers go to the Finance Minister and say, oh, there are a lot of crooks, this is happening, that is happening, and create fear, and go on taking more and more power for themselves. It's a power grab. So our political leaders should stop all that and make sure in the last 10 years, income tax people have got more powers, draconian powers, than the previous 10 years. I remember when the previous finance minister, Chidambaram, was there, he stopped all of them getting more powers. He used to read everything. I don't know whether currently this is being done. Angel tax, they amended it so many times, the harassment, abolish angel tax. What does it matter? See, the angel tax was done many years ago when, some people in Andhra Pradesh were getting high premium for the shares and there was many cash washing going on. But now who is caught? All these young people. These are entrepreneurs. Now, if I invest in your company and I give my PAN, you can check out my tax record to see whether it's tax paid money. The income tax will ask the startup, give me the tax return of the investor. Who will give the tax return? Give me the detail. How will you get it? If they don't get the add back, they say, why this valuation? Valuation is between two people. The person who gives money and the person who takes the money is negotiated. Then you go get a silly valuation report. When you got a PPT, what kind of valuation report can be given to anybody who has got the skill? It's negotiation. You protect yourself by having a liquidity preference. They don't understand. Then the income tax substitute himself as the valuer and add back and do everything. And the biggest problem is, if it does something to you which is adverse, to get relief will take you 10 years, man. Because you go in appeal to the commissioner, 2 years, he will not going to rectify. 85%, 90% not rectified. Go to the tribunal, they will be in your favor, 75%. Then they go to high court because the government is cheap to go in appeal. For us, is suffering. We suffer. And once you get the tax dispute, nobody will invest in you. So it must be abolished. Second is, we need a startup fund for India. 85% of all the investment is foreign capital. LIC and others are not investing because of bad policy from IRDA. We've gone to them for 5 years. We explained they go on changing incrementally. It doesn't happen. So we need a policy whereby government has a 50,000 crore fund to create as a fund of fund to incentivize. When you give 8 lakh crores a year as subsidies, state and center, why can't we have a 10,000 crore, 50,000 crore fund over 5 years? And
perhaps that kind of a fund is required, because if you want to create jobs, if you want to generate more jobs, which definitely are required as far as India is concerned, then where will these jobs come from?
It'll come from the startups, it'll come from young companies. Get the jobs. See, today the government is spending 45 lakh crores for the center per year. Why can't they spend 10, 20,000 crore more on giving investment to things? What is the big problem about it? It is peanuts for the government. See, the Prime Minister has to step in and keep his vision and take these political decisions. The bureaucrats are not going to take it. We tried many times with angel tax. And I don't think in the finance ministry there's political will to change. The Prime Minister should set in. I hope he's listening to us. And he must protect our young people. Give them hope. You see, many of them are relocating. We drove.
It's very interesting, Mr. Pai. It's very interesting that you're not making this appeal to the finance ministry, because as you were telling me earlier, you have made these appeals on a lot of occasions in the past. You're appealing to the Prime Minister to intervene.
Yes. I'm appealing to the Prime Minister, like he intervened to reduce corporate tax to 25% about 3-4 years back, and look at the benefit. Today, debt has been paid back, money is being created, investment is happening. I appeal to the Prime Minister directly to him. He's the one who gave the vision for Digital India. He's the one who spoke to startups. Because, we have tried so many times with the finance minister, they treat you like they listen to you, laugh at you. I remember in Bangalore, when the finance minister officials came and I spoke, they note down, they don't reply to you, they don't give. Nothing is RBI. RBI must tone down its policy. For example, in March, they came down to the AIF policy where they said, banks who invest in AIFs and they lend money to the companies where the AIFs are invested, you must write off the entire AIF investment. It's a ridiculous thing. They didn't make an impact analysis. And they didn't make an impact analysis. And what did they do? Because they wanted to fix somebody who are doing this thing in that, for bad assets, that the industry, IRC or whatever it is, right? They were doing it, 4 or 5 funds. They knew the funds, but they gave a blanket regulation. Now they realize what mistake they made. They tried to tone it down, but they will not admit their error. No, RBI also should come down from its high end. See, I'm taking a very strong stand because I have been working with regulators for 30 years. I'm very fed up with the way they treat. Let me tell you one more statement. I want to put it on record. People in RBI are very good. They're great people. In policy is very good. But if you write to them about some approval, they'll not reply to you. I have returned to the SEC in the United States. My friends have returned to Federal Reserve. They reply to you. They don't reply to RBI. And then we have to hire a Big Four consultant to go walk the chamber to get something. It's like a big black hole. There's no way to treat citizens of this country. We're not captives. We're not captives. Because the law has told RBI that you have to give approval. They must apply the mind and say, sometimes they say your application rejected. For what reason? Some people get it, some people don't get it. What is the discretion? You can't have discretion in the application of law. So we need a SAT for RBI. We need a SAT for RBI, so there's an appeal. If RBI gives a decision against you, you must go to an appellant authority like SEBI and you must have a SAT.
Right.
Why should RBI not have a SAT? Yes, on monetary policy, they have full discretion autonomy, but in applying the law, and then what happens? Parliament liberalizes the foreign exchange law. RBI issue regulation takes away much of the power. Say this form, that form. That's the biggest problem. I've seen many startups who wrote for approval. Approval did not come. They relocated. Now, of course, some of the larger ones are coming back, for which we require the IFSC. We are second the thing. So I think the regulators have to understand that when it comes to policy, they have full autonomy. When it comes to application of law, permission, they're doing a service. They must be accountable for the service. RBI should tell us, we'll take us 45 days, put it on the board. You apply to us, within 45 days, we'll give a reply. And we'll give a reasoned reply. And then I want the government to have an appellate authority for RBI. RBI is not a holy cow. RBI is a creation of parliament. They're not a constitutional authority like the election commission. We must take a strong stand because this kind of thing, I admire Shaktikanta Das, the governor. He's done a fantastic job. I know many of them, they do a great job. When it comes to customer service, they don't care. I've met them many times. They take a long time. See, SEBI today, when it comes with some regulations, they have a advisory committee. It goes to them. They put it up on the web. They take feedback. It goes back. There's a very good process. RBI should have put a process. Everything they issue in regulation, it has to go to an advisory committee, take their feedback, put it up for public survey. We need greater democracy in the decision making because we are victims and you're hurting us. Now, just imagine, despite all this harassment, we grow so much. Imagine how we'll grow if you're unshackled. So I would urge Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, unshackle us. Give us the economic freedom. Look, because they're political decisions. You can't expect the bureaucracy to do this. They will not do it. They want status quo. They want more power. The finance minister should do it. But the finance minister should listen to people. Listen to people. And we have met many times an angel tax and nothing.
Great conversation, Mr. Pai, as always. And you have been a vociferous proponent of the kind of policies you want to see implemented. So it's great to see you back it all up with, these anecdotes and data. So thank you for taking out the time and talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.